here.
Hello, hello.
I'm getting my video started here.
Hi, Cathy.
There.
Greetings.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
How are you doing?
Really well.
Good.
We're
Christmas.
yeah. Steve's going to join us in just a second.
Super. Looks like my mother's here too.
That's great.
Already joined? Let's see.
We've got two. This
Hi,
is
Bob.
modern technology. We have two of these things going. Just hang on.
Great, great.
How's your knee replacement going?
Really well. It's
How many body parts now have you had replaced?
This is it.
Sure.
Here, get this centered for me so that you should.
Hello, Steve. Nice to
He's
see
there.
you.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's
I
it
can
for the
see.
body
I
part.
can see your left shoulder and your left glass.
I just wanted to get you in there.
Now
Okay.
I can see half of Cathy and all of Steve. We're getting there.
There we are. Now don't move.
Don't
I think somebody else
Closer over here.
say what?
I think the host has to accept me. I'm not sure.
Oh,
There we are.
you've got to accept Sandy. You're the host.
Let's see.
What do I need to do? Nothing.
Oh, there's some admit buttons over on the right here. Got it. Thank
I've
you.
never seen a Zoom picture the way this one looked this morning. It's all- okay, here's Timothy says he's I
Timothy
think this is gonna
Brown-Brown.
work.
Oh, I got some video now.
We just had a huge breakfast. I don't know about you all.
We're just getting up, remember?
I know. That was a dirty trick.
It's 5:30 in the morning in Pendleton.
Our livestock have had a nice breakfast.
I see.
Same.
Great, great. What do you have?
There's Sandy MacLeod.
Hi, Sandy.
All right. You've breached the technological barrier.
Reached it or reached it.
So
Beseeched it, and it works.
Timothy and Ann need to click on their camera, I think, or video.
Yeah, they need to click on the.
Oh,
Okay, so where is it? Down on the bottom on the left somewhere. There's a,
Disappear.
there's probably a picture of a,
He says here
I
to
just saw
start
the
video.
blast of cold air.
there you are.
Oh, it's funny.
I
You're
was feeding
bundled
my
up. Annie.
livestock too.
Oh, there's Annie. What's the
If I
matter?
hadn't gone out and fed first, they would all be staring at me through the window, so.
Hardy
And it
creature.
doesn't feel right. I'm in here warm and they're out there. It's like, I gotta go feed first.
We could have a contest about how cold it is.
Oh, you guys are winning hands down.
3 degrees below zero last night.
Yeah. We feel like we're in the tropics when we turn on the news,
So why are you so bundled up?
because I did just feed the cows.
Oh,
And I'm a lightweight. And it's 53 degrees in here right now.
Fur.
Yeah.
well, the
Yep.
general topic here is the
3 in the
weather.
morning, the house is like 80 degrees. And then by the time I get up, it's cool. And I leave it that way until whenever he's going to get up, noon or whatever.
What is it outside, Annie, for you, or Cathy, for you?
We're in, we are sitting in kind of, it's 16 degrees and we're kind of in between storms right now. It's predicted to do rain and freezing rain tonight and this evening, or this evening and tonight and tomorrow. So we're waiting. It was very cold. So now any rain that comes is going to be in the form of freezing rain or make things really slick. So we're trying to,
Huge sloppy mess.
yes.
'Cause
There you
our
are.
driveway, We're going on top of all the
I
snow.
didn't
and
realize.
that's a mess.
Janie's got her camera on.
Janie.
When
Well,
I
the only person, we're missing Kate. She's somewhere around here.
drove back across
And Tim, I don't know where Tim is.
on
You in bed?
What?
He's asleep.
He's asleep. And
When I-
Steve, I have a question for you.
What's that?
You're Mr. Iron Man. I gather you're running again.
I ran 2 miles the day before Thanksgiving, and then I had COVID, so I'm slow to return to it.
He came home from his 2 miles and he said, man, I thought I was getting back in shape, but that just felt like I was running uphill all the way in snow or sand. I worn out. And then he took the COVID test and he said,
Yeah, but you made a great recovery. That's my impression.
we did. I thought I dodged the bullet because,
When was that major incident, by the way?
well, Steve's
The heart
positive was
thing.
on Thanksgiving morning. So then we spent the day, well, about an hour trying to figure out whether to try to do a family gathering. And the kids have all had COVID, but they had it long enough ago that they could easily be reinfected. And so we just decided that keeping everybody in their own little bubbles a little bit longer would be good. And so everybody's healthy now. And we just exchanged food on the front porch and they took theirs home and we brought ours in and everybody had Thanksgiving in different spots. But
I
then
thought your Thanksgiving dinner on the porch was kind of cool, literally.
and then I had thought I had missed, and Steve had a really bad cold. There's been a respiratory bug that's, well, everybody knows about it. It's just really knocked everyone, and it just sticks forever. And Steve had that, and so I thought, okay, that's the thing I need to really be careful about getting when I came home from my knee replacement. And I dodged that one, but caught COVID just at the end of his 2 weeks. So we're all, I'm trying to get Steve there we go. We're doing really well now.
Well, how many body parts have you had repaired, Steve?
Well, this is it. This is my second knee, and I've had a lumbar fusion, but
Lumbar fusion, second knee and a hip, right?
no hip. I had
No
a
hip.
cervical fusion
Me.
for a herniated
Annie,
disc in
you've
my
had a
neck.
hip.
And he's got a hip.
Okay, there's
I
Kate.
went young because I wanted to be able to be
Okay.
active and enjoy my new knee and get out and hike again and that kind of thing. So it's really going well.
I thought it would be cheaper to get a new wife, but Kathy said it would be a lot more expensive. It would cost me a lot if I got a new wife, she said.
Well, there'd be all that breaking in.
So have you had COVID, Janie?
See what?
Have you had COVID?
Me, yeah.
Sandy has it. Kate, did you get sick, Kate?
Yeah, Sandy gave it to me.
We're sharing like all good couples do.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was a super spreader for a few minutes.
Well, we just,
Annie, have you had it?
No, and we're still being very cautious because Tim's fragile. He got really sick. I don't know, Kate will say, I think PO2 83 here at home when the first big blizzard hit. And I said, we're going in or you're going on antibiotics, which I'm not supposed to do, but I have this stash of cow drugs. He got remarkably better overnight on antibiotics. So he's fragile. So we're very cautious.
yeah, he's had a number of his health issues. And then there's just age.
There's something you're supposed to take after you've had your third booster.
Ivermectin.
You're compromised, but I don't know anything about the drug. Did you take that extra drug?
I think I'll
Bleach.
Absolutely.
No.
Nope. We had our,
There was some vaccine that was produced in about 11 months, in the year 2020. That was quite a remarkable generation of a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2. But I don't think that's COVID or COVID-19 or necessarily the coronavirus. Amazing, though, creation of a genetic product, a genetic vaccine in no time.
yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah, I was reading last night, said COVID has accelerated the mRNA vaccine technology probably by 10 years, thanks to funding
Mhm.
plus of all of this.
Say
Yeah.
that again.
What's that?
Say that again, Annie.
I can't remember the source, but they said COVID has accelerated the knowledge of mRNA vaccine ticks by about 10 years. And it was an emerging technology. It was interesting. The first recombinant vaccine I ever heard of was for horses about 10 years ago. And it was miraculous because you didn't get all the side reactions from parts of the organism that weren't helpful of the virus. And so it's been a rapidly emerging technology, but was really accelerated by COVID funding.
That's,
I worship my general genetics instructor was the first person who mentioned the word mRNA to me in 1976, about a year ago, but it's just remarkable to me, the expansion of science and knowledge. Be nice to heed it. Anyway.
I just keep waiting for the cure for simple things like diabetes and arthritis, because all of our friends are really developing arthritis in frustrating ways. But I'm, when I meet children who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes these days, I think 35 years ago, they said that the cure was just on the horizon. It was just right there. Within 10 years, we'd be curing diabetes. And I was at the doctor this week, and the nurse there said, oh my gosh, her 2 daughters are both type 1 diabetics. And it's a life sentence of hard work and some concern. And I just keep thinking, surely we can figure this out if we, and with diabetes, a lot of it is the delivery method of insulin if it's not an external port. So until.
Does some of it have to do with how much money is pumped into research?
I think a lot has been pumped into research, at least in the last few years, just because so many of our elderly folks like us are being diagnosed with, especially type 2. That's really been an aggressive campaign to get people identified and beginning proactive treatment. Because 20 years ago, you were a type 2 diabetic, borderline type 2 for maybe 30 years because you weren't acutely in super high blood sugars. But my dog is bringing my slippers to me as a hint of needing to go do something, I guess. Anyway, there are a lot of long range illnesses that would be nice to be cured.
What's the machine you just acquired?
Well, that's a story that would take a long time.
Okay.
I have a pump, and I haven't been on a pump for about 20 years. And I'm not on it right now because it's a difficult learning curve on your own out in rural Eastern Oregon. And I had about 2 weeks of extreme highs and lows, even with the pump. And I had actually been doing better I test continuously. The greatest discovery for me is the technology, the Dexcom technology that just lets me check my blood sugar continuously. And it lets Steve do it. So if I'm out, and that's been a couple of times that I've been worrisomely low and I've just slept through it thinking, it's just, I'm having a bad morning, and he'll come in and check it from the out, he can just turn the machine on and say, oh, you need to eat something right now.
It's like it's like a scan.
Yeah, it's a it updates virtually, almost continuously. And the best thing about it is you can set alarms for low blood sugar and for high blood sugar. And the lows are what are really frightening at night. So you can set the Dexcom to alert at when it starts to get too low. And it's just, lets you sleep through the night. I've just not slept through the night for years.
Kathy, does it provide information into your electronic medical records in saying that it updates virtually?
I can upload it into a software program that gives me patterns and trends and suggestions for places where I could tighten control or be more compliant, I guess, with I'm trying, I set arbitrary highs and low goals, and then it tells me when I'm outside of that range.
Your endocrinologist.
My endocrinologist can access my information from her office, which is just a wonderful deal, because and even just for her to be able to tell long range patterns rather than just the A1C was the test for your overall control. And it just said, yeah, you're doing pretty well, but it didn't say, here's where your problem areas are or where you're not managing very well. So it's an amazing technology. And I'll try the pump later again, probably, but I was just in the middle of the knee replacement and then being sick. And it was just a lot to be learning.
Too much.
My coach lives in Pocatello, Idaho. So all of my learning has been via Zoom meeting. And you know, this challenge of getting yourself in the picture and then trying to show the machine and what the machine's telling me and what it's showing her. And so we had some.
So how's your health, Janie?
Who the heck knows?
Pretty good, I think.
The only time my blood pressure ever went up that I'm aware of is when I met with my PCP the last time. And he made me so angry that.
Well, remember that when you're dying.
I have all the same things, the arthritis, I have bad hips. They say it's from my spine and, you know, comes and goes.
Yeah.
As long as I can play pickleball, I'm okay.
I was gonna say, I love
Yay
this
for pickleball.
article about pickleball because I didn't know anything about it, and it gave me a sense of what you're up to.
It's something of a rage, and I just learned that pickleball has been replaced by a newer sport for some reason. It wasn't challenging enough for the ex-tennis players, so they moved on to something else.
Well, we've thought pickleball would be fun, but we haven't gotten ourselves organized enough. We got snowshoes for Christmas a couple of years ago, thinking that would be a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, it's not. Our experience.
Snowshoeing is the hardest thing I think I ever did. I gave my snowshoes away because I decided if I was going to go out in the snow, at least I didn't have to have them strapped onto my feet.
Exactly.
Cathy,
Take them off and use your boots.
Do you have snowshoes, Kate?
Yeah.
Both of you?
More skiing.
Yeah, they get lots of snow for skiing, cross-country skiing. Yeah.
Cathy, do you or Steve or you know of anyone who has an elliptical machine or a bicycle, a stationary bicycle that you actually use almost on a daily basis? From
Yeah,
inside?
both of those. Yeah.
We have an elliptical right now that's too hard on my knees, but I'm hoping that with my new repaired knee, I can, it's just stiff even at the lowest level of resistance. But we bought an exercise bike and a elliptical right at the beginning of COVID because we knew that the club was one of our major spreading places here in town. And so we stayed home pretty much and used our own little gym.
So, MacLeod, did you go south or are you going?
Me?
Oh, yeah.
I just took a sailing trip down to Antigua. We delivered a boat down there and got back a few days ago. And I'm thinking of going back down south at some point. TBD.
And Kate, still doing the ER room?
I have been in January next week. Actually, I'm starting a new job, so getting ready for some change in that side. Yeah.
So what job?
I'm going to work for the University of New England. I'm going to work for their Center for Public Health Excellence as a clinical educator.
Oh, wonderful.
More on the teaching side.
Teaching, that sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
So where from Zoom or you have to be physically?
Well, it's a, like everything these days, it's a hybrid model. I'll work primarily from home. I'll go to campus probably a couple times a week, but a lot of the education is done through outreach programming. So I'll be working with med students and nursing students and PA students to do vaccine clinics and nutrition outreach programs. It's more experiential, like exposure to public health programming to add that to their clinical education. So,
You would do a lot for our local medical community, which for the most part refuse to wear a mask or get vaccinated. A number
well,
of the nursing staff, whatever, lost their jobs over it, which I thought was very appropriate.
yeah.
Because I give Tim the choice of the vet or the ER room, and I think we're to stay home.
I was ready for a change. Yeah. Yeah.
Sandy, just to fill in that sailing venture of yours, this sort of caught my attention. He was away from land for 10 straight days. Was that right? Got that right?
Yeah.
So no matter what's going on out there, you don't have any connection with the land. That struck me as pretty interesting.
Makes me think of the perfect storm. I don't want to think in those terms, but
We did okay. We lived in the
High seas, freezing temperatures
Not at that,
for a while, right?
in the beginning.
19 days underway, and they decided not to use the heat at first from Massachusetts, I guess. That sounds cold at first in wintry Northeast.
It was. We're hardy stock.
So, Scotty MacLeod, have you found a food co-op near home?
There's a
You
food
talking to me
co-op,
or Scott?
Scott,
there's a food co-op
What do you-
about 4 blocks away, but my mother and I were talking the other day how possibly even how expensive it is for one, and I also don't get a great, haven't had a lot of great experiences there community-wise. The back of my car, left back fender of my car was dinged early on in a curious situation. But I'm wondering whether even World University and School could help bring down the cost of co-op agricultural produce somehow to compete with,
Walmart.
produce.
yeah. Our co-op, same deal. It's so expensive. I don't usually go. Makes me sad, but it's also mostly hired help instead of volunteers, and I'm part of that crowd. I don't go do my share.
I found a organic store. I'm getting a kickback here every time I say something. There's an organic produce store near where I live now. It's incredibly expensive. It's ridiculous. Like I'm getting a double feedback.
I think it's because you're in the same room with Sandy and Kate. So if you could turn down your volume when Kate's speaking, and vice versa, and Sandy just turned down his volume. So
I just turned mine down too.
Okay.
It's good. So the New Year's on us. What are your predictions for this coming year politically?
I haven't.
I'll
any
say my
idea.
one comment is I think Putin may have done the best job of the US and saving the United States from its divisionary politics than anything else on the planet. I was sitting at the end of the driveway in tears listening to the Congress. I couldn't see who was applauding, but apparently there were only 2 people that weren't when Zelensky walked in or walked out. I don't know which, but I just was sitting there with the tears rolling. Amazing man, Zelensky. Anyway, makes me cry.
I had the same reaction. It was really an uplifting and inspirational moment to just hear someone as brave and just a wonderful guy.
I'm moving to another spot.
I wonder, I think the communication between Angela Merkel, the former chancellor of Germany, and Putin has a long history. I think they're friends from the former East Germany, even decades. And I'm curious how this maybe internet war is defining further EU law around war, and also how the internet develops, so internet law as well. Fascinating to hear your observations, Annie, that it's affected American politics and lessened the divisiveness here. Interesting.
I hope,
Did
I hope
you
it
all
lasts.
watch any of the last session with the January 6th commission? Anybody see any of that?
I did. I listened to most of the day. And you know, it's really quite compelling. It'd be very difficult not to recognize the crime that was committed by the president. There's just no way that you can take his actions out of the January 6th episode and call it anything but
Treason.
crime.
So, my prediction is that he will never be he'll be prosecuted for some of this, but he'll never be convicted of any of it. And I don't
Probably.
have any basis for saying that, except we're on new turf, and there are lawyers to be had to defend anything and anybody for any crime. So somehow I think he'll escape. At least he'll never go to jail for things that the rest of us would.
Yep.
Probably.
And of course, DeSantis is out there. That's the next, he's just dreadful. And he's probably sort of just drooling over this opportunity. So.
I imagine.
So Biden,
You know, what strikes me as how lucky we are. I think all of us have lived a particular chapter of history that we have been part of.
so aging reversal drugs for Biden, Harris, and DeSantis, and a running mate that could be a fair competitor to an incumbent.
We'll make them all younger. Biden can be a really good candidate 10 years younger, right?
If sleepy Biden, bed-oriented Biden becomes more invigorated somehow, who knows?
I don't know. But
I
we're in
don't
a,
It's like having a genuine human being, or at least he projects a humanity. He does
I
seem
think so.
worried about the next election, because I think that project, I don't know.
somebody the other day told me the greatest hope she had was that that Trump would die of an overdose of cheeseburgers.
I think it'd take a lot more than that to kill him.
Scary if we all don't die for a number of decades.
You know, he worried me early on, since his definition of nature is a golf course. I thought that's a bad start.
What is it?
Oh, Trump's definition of nature and communing with it is playing golf. And I thought that is really a bad foundation for our leadership. I liked better was, well, William O. Douglas, and I don't know, folks that appreciated wilderness back there had some power. I don't know. I think we're in trouble.
Oh, you're thinking of the wasteland of golf courses.
They're just a disaster.
Yeah.
Hello, Timothy Brown-Brown playing silent piano behind.
Oh,
him.
he's back there. He's getting coffee, so maybe he's up.
Okay, coffee, not piano. Okay.
I can smell the coffee. Oh my. Well, so anything, Kate's starting a new job. Sandy just got back from a huge sailing adventure. Scott traveled all across the US. Cathy's recovering from her latest bionic person. Steve's back running. Annie, you're still going out and feeding the cows through the ice and snow.
Yeah, it's good for me.
And doing a spay and neuter clinic about once a month. That's about a 18-hour day of.
It's a marathon.
You gonna keep that up?
Yeah, I think they're making noises about finding somebody else, and I'm not in a good position to figure out a young vet that wants to do that is rather thankless, actually.
Yeah, and you don't make any money, so
Yeah.
we
I-
find it very, very convenient that you can spay and neuter all of our kitties every time you come through.
Yeah, I get a lot of requests.
Drive-by neutering.
We had a barn cat adopt us last winter, and in the way of barn cats was pregnant immediately. And so we had a summer with really wonderful little kittens, but Anne comes through and just lays them out. There's a little row of spayed and neutered, and it's a wonderful tool to be able to have in the family, because then you can give your cats away without any.
So Scotty was
Without
gonna
any
say
guilt.
something, I think.
Yeah, this is
9 minutes.
This is actually MIT OpenCourseWare-centric Wiki World University and Schools Zoom, and I haven't had a time limit on it up to this point, but I just got the notice that there's 9 minutes left.
Okay.
So stay tuned. Yeah.
You'll know.
Yeah, we have not, this is a 40-minute-er. That's all.
There's my
If
take
you don't
on
buy
doing
Zoom,
cats.
that's all you get. Something like
It
that.
bothered me at first to do pregnant cats. Now I know all female cats that are feral are pregnant.
They are, without a doubt. And if you're
Almost
really
a
lucky,
given, every cat I spay is pregnant, so it doesn't hurt my conscience. That's just where it is.
it is. The first barn cat that adopted us had 12 kittens by the time Anne got a hold of her, and I thought, if this girl keeps going, she's going to have populated more than Pendleton could use even. So it's been great.
Annie, in that recent George Church 11-minute clip, a Harvard and MIT professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School's interview, he mentioned something about genetic drugs for aging reversal not yet being able to target certain parts of the body, but this is something we can fix. I'm curious whether all these geneticists will figure out ways to fix and spay animals through genetic engineering in a very different way than surgery, since you're a surgeon.
Almost for sure that's coming down the pipeline. But what's interesting is we're worried about overpopulation is probably the biggest factor in human populations, that we're keeping people alive through vaccinations for the most part, public health medicine worldwide. And so, complicated.
Yeah, it is.
People, I want people that are here to have quality of life, and I want people that are unborn to not be born if people don't want to mother them, and I don't know.
Yeah,
They have a lifespan for a reason.
Yeah.
What was that?
200 countries and their social scientists, demographers, not only from the West, decide about both human longevity as well as critical longevity. I don't know.
Politicians make.
And that'll come back.
Clearly, the technology is way ahead of the politics on reproductive medicine.
So, I guess one of the things we're facing in 2023, beginning then, is this ongoing struggle with these philosophical questions about, I don't know, politics and morality and all that stuff. But generally, are you and your friends pretty upbeat?
Well, we've surrounded ourselves with like-minded friends mostly, so we can get together and have an angry moment and kind of go from there. And we feel pretty isolated in terms of having any numbers of people who would be like-minded and wanting to make change. We do have a climate group that's just getting started, and that's a positive direction, but it's difficult to be politically active in rural Eastern Oregon.
It's because the numbers are so small for the right-minded people.
Yeah, and it's hard to know how to make a difference. It's just a really challenging period to figure out where to start, even.
Well, I live in a bubble. It's a white upper middle class bubble. where I have found a huge number of like-minded people who all agree on the same things. So, and then there's a gulf with, we don't have any, we're not racially mixed here at all. We don't even see that part of the world. Pittsburgh is very different scene. It's racially mixed and huge number of Asians and very few Mexicans, interestingly enough, but mostly Asian. So I live in a very isolated world of my own, apart from the fact I'm in an older age group, isolation group. So it's sort of nice to stay connected with younger people who are maybe looking at it hopefully a little differently from me.
I think there's hope. My neighbor lady's grandkid just married a Hispanic, and I think it's going to be highly entertaining because the TV's on Fox every day. It's all anti-immigration, whatever, and I think it's going to change the family dynamics for good.
So this friend who's a Fox person is marrying her
grandson is going to be Hispanic, and that's a first in that family. And there's
that's nice to hear.
Race bashing, and it's just neoconservative. I think there's hope through small things, maybe. I hope.
The lack of racial diversity is a real challenge because it's very difficult to teach children about people of different cultures and backgrounds when we have about maybe 10 African-American students in this school from K through 12, and very few Asian. We have some Latino, but we're really just a very white community, a white cowboy community. Sandy's calling me now, so he's probably saying, hey, I've been trying.
So watched Armed Services singing a Christmas carol last night on public television, I guess. Well, anyway, it's beautiful. It's a statement about what America should be, because we are a very mixed country racially overall, maybe more so in the armed services than most places. Anyway, it was beautiful.
Been a great integrator. And how will that play out if we all live to 150? How will African Americans get access to such drugs in a comparable way to Asians and whites and Latinos, et cetera? Interesting questions.
A lot of the social justice issues that we play around with here come through my church, which is a Unitarian church. And thank God for that, because that's an easy connection for me. And there are a lot of younger people really focused on that subject. In fact, no Sunday morning goes by without that being a focus of the service. So, but the church itself is not very racially mixed. It doesn't appeal to African Americans. It's it's not emotional enough or something.
And yet the former Reverend David Herndon, the Unitarian minister who also conducted the service at my father's memorial, hired an African American minister there too. Interestingly, these are
and oddly enough, the reason she didn't work out was because she had a pretty serious mental illness that went untreated.
Less than a minute.
She was very bright, very capable.
Well, Sandy Brown just called to say somehow he had, this didn't surprise me at all. Sandy and I have had any number of discussions about technical issues, and he's working with a new phone now, so he's joining the smartphone generation. But anyway, he wishes you a Merry Christmas.
That's very nice.
There's a learning curve.
And he's going to call you later, Janie.
Oh, that's lovely.
We're going to be cut off soon. Nice to see you. Merry Christmas too.
Good to see you.
You're checking it, yeah. Yeah. Well, this was awfully nice. Thank you all for getting up at this ungodly hour on the East Coast.